Hi, I'm Rissa Wray, and this is the recap video for the Couples Thai Massage Workshop on September 22nd at the Body Electric Yoga Company. Let's show the work we did on the feet and ankles. So have your partner lie face up, sit next to them, and scoop under the inner ankle with the hand that's closer to the other foot. Lift the leg and slide your legs underneath. Let your partner's foot rest on your lap. Remember that you can sit cross-legged and do this in your lap as well. Start with a circular movement, rotating the ankle. Other hand comes to the ball of the foot, lean forward, roll out to the side, lean back, and curl the toes down towards you. Create a circle with these movements in one direction and then in the other direction. Push the foot forward to gently dorsiflex, and then elbow lifts, palm to the top of the toe knuckles. Leverage the elbow down as you lean back to point the toes and foot and plantar flex. Next, we'll invert the foot, reach around and inside, squeeze the ball of the foot just underneath the big toe, and then leverage the elbow to your side as you gently turn away from the second leg. Release. Grab the arch of the foot, still close to the ball of the foot, and invert. Next, grab close to the heel on the arch of the foot and invert. Return to the second hand position, upper arch, and then the first hand position, ball of the foot next to the big toe. Switch hands and now evert the foot. Grab the ball of the foot, pinky toe side, and pull the elbow to your side. Gentle turn of the torso. Second hand position, outer edge, still closer to the top of the foot. Third hand position, outer edge close to the heel. Second hand position, and then the first. Release the foot to your lap. Bring your thumbs to the sole of the foot, just above the heel. Lean forward, making thumbprints up the sole of the foot 3 times, tracing different lines where you feel that there's greater density and tension. You can even, if you find a tight spot, stack thumb over thumb and gently lean forward and hold pressure for 30 seconds or so and feel if there is any softening. Trace up and out the toes the last time. Now scoop under the heel with the inner hand, outer hand, top of the hand goes down, elbow lifts high. Trace the outer line of the foot an inch at a time, dragging along, gently squeezing until you get to the pinky toe. Pinch between the thumb and the inner knuckle of the index finger at the base of the toe, and then gently coin rub your way out to the nail. Pinch and maybe snap. Do this on each and every toe. Start at the base. You might get some pops, but you can just coin rub along the skin, shimmying past the knuckles all the way to the big toe. When you get there, gently push the foot forward and then off of you. We started with working along the outer line of the leg with the feet. So sit next to your partner so that when you bring your legs forward, they touch the side of the thigh. Make sure the legs aren't entirely straight. You still want a slight bend. You can post up on your hands behind you. We start at the hip and just next to the ankle to warm up the tissue at least one time, and then when the feet frame the knee, slide the foot that's closer to your partner's feet and low leg underneath the bend of the knee. That leg can straighten here and you can flex the toes towards your face to brace. The second foot is going to compress the IT band along the outer edge of the upper leg. Rotate the kneecap to point straight up and then vice between the feet. Vice between the feet, pushing straight forward. The heel stays against the mat. Up and down the leg, gentle vice. Remember that this is sensitive. It's a sensitive spot, so sink in layer by layer and check in with your partner if it's okay, though you'll usually be able to tell. All right, so at least one pass, but up to 3, I'd say, and then scoot your bottom foot out from underneath. Next, we will show a technique to work the calf as well as the hip. So, kneel next to your partner's low leg and scoop underneath the inner ankle and the outer knee. Rise up to a kneeling position and walk on your knees toward your partner's hip, introducing a bend at the knee. Step your your foot that's closer to your partner's feet onto the other side of the leg. Actually, I'm going to switch so you can see this. Step the foot to the other side of the straight leg and then roll from the Achilles tendon all the way up to the back of the knee, a little bit at a time. You can take your time here, or you can move more quickly. Once you've worked up to the back of the knee, drop the hips back toward the heel of the grounded knee and bring the other foot above over to the other side of the hip. Is that okay, babe? Mm-hmm. Okay. So remember that the heel is going to pull back against the soft part of the hip, not the bone. Turn in the same direction as your partner's shin so you don't torque the knee. And now rise up, hands down, lean forward. Is this okay, Yuri? Okay. We're going to rock forward and backward a few times, anchoring at the hip and stretching at the inner thigh. Remember, if your partner is really flexible, you can lean back, swing the leg out to the side, and either bring the outer edge of the foot to the elbow crease to lean forward, kind of like a half happy baby. Or again, if your partner is really flexible, you can straighten the leg out to the side, though that's kind of challenging because the leg can be pretty heavy. Also remember that if you can't do that leg wrap around, then you can simply kneel in a lunge on the inside of your partner's opposite leg. Guide the knee out to the side by sinking your own hips down and forward. And my second hand here is pushing against the top of the opposite thigh. It's a totally different sensation, though it is the same shape of the hips and the legs. After that, we planted the foot. Actually, we started out sitting. The inner leg, the leg that's closer to your partner's straight leg, drapes on top of the planted foot and on the opposite leg. Remember to use the soft part of your shin muscle and ankle muscle, not bone on bone, because that's uncomfortable. The second leg foot plants right next to your partner's hip, so that if you let go of the leg and the knee falls out to the side, your second leg is there to catch it. Interlace fingers, bring them to the top of your partner's thigh and lean back. Middle of the thigh is the second position, lock and lean. Third position, right at the hip crease, lock and lean. Second hand position, mid thigh. And first hand position, close to the knee. From here, we move to the outer aspect of the hip so that I'm perpendicular with his spine. From here, my hips are pretty much aligned with his. So push down on the top of the knee to adjust yourself. Plant the foot that's closer to your partner's feet on top of the toe knuckles. Okay, this is better. Go. From here, we plant inner arch of the foot on top of the toe knuckles. And then we push the knee away from us, internally rotating, second hand on the ground, so we can slide our knee under the hip. If the hip doesn't lift when you push the knee in, then you can push in and up at the outer hip bone. From here, bring the knee back out. Hook your elbow around. Second hand can grab opposite front hip bone as you lean back. Keep moving the knee in and out as you find different positions. Different positions up and down the glute. You don't need to grab the opposite hip, but you can. It brings the tissue so that gravity can help compress straight down. Okay, so after 3 to 5 compressions and rotations, slide your knee out. Allow your partner's knee to open out to the side like reclined tree. Second hand guides the ankle open. Give just a gentle push at the inner knee here. And then slide the leg to straight. Next, have your partner transition to side lying position. Bottom leg is straight, top knee is bent and grounded forward. Head resting on a pillow so that the neck is level with the spine. From here, we're going to keep one foot grounded at the sacrum. The second foot compresses above the spine along the erector spinae group. The hand that's closer to your partner's hip can gently grip, so not with fingertips, just with finger pads. Sink in at the muscles of the low back, counter pressure happening with the hand. And we'll just move up the back. This isn't the most efficient position to work the back, but we are tracing the line from the hips up to the shoulder blade. Once you get to the shoulder blade, release both feet away, cross the legs so you can scoot closer to your partner and reach their arm. Bring the arm flat against the side, and then hand under the elbow, lift the elbow up, and slide forearm behind the partner's low back. From here, bring both feet just underneath the shoulder blade. Technically, we're on the inside of the shoulder blade, but because of the side lying position, it's below. Once your toes are aligned, reach forward and grab onto the partner's shoulder. Bring both hands to the shoulder actually and gently lean back. The feet push forward, the toes push forward gently so that the toes can slide between the shoulder blade and the rib cage. Adjust your hips so that you can adjust your feet and trace the inner border of the scapula. At least 3 foot positions, but 3 to 5. And then release the feet away. Next, we're going to work the rotator cuff, well, some of the muscles of the rotator cuff on the back of the scapula, the shoulder blade. So, turn your base, turn yourself, your hips, toward your partner's feet. From here, we're going to bring, with a tightly closed knee, not the kneecap, but the patellar tendon just underneath, to make contact with the muscles on the back of the shoulder blade. Before you do that, outer hand, the hand that's further away from your partner, scoops underneath the elbow, elbow to elbow, palm to shoulder, fling your partner's arm forward until palm comes to belly. So, tightly closed knee to back of the shoulder blade, close to the tricep. Palm on top of palm, gently lean back. Make sure that the angle that you're pulling is the exact angle and line of your thigh bone. Move your knee just slightly in between repetitions. There are a few muscles here, and they all get very tight, very bound up. Trigger points, tender points. Okay, so after a few points to the back of the shoulder blade with the knee, we're going to bring the hand that's not underneath the arm down to the floor. And so we can turn our base so that we're kneeling next to our partner's back. Same hand is still there, still supporting the inner shoulder. I'm going to guide his elbow back so that his wrist is draped over my inner elbow. Bring second hand to the shoulder and rotate around in a circle, guiding the shoulder into a nice range of motion. Remember, you can interlace fingers, bring them to the top of the shoulder and lean back to stretch shoulder away from ear. And then same arm stays, same hand stays, supporting the shoulder. Grab for the wrist, lean your torso back, and open the partner's arm up. Forearm rests against your lap, against your side body. From here, both arms come down to the floor as your hips lift up and forward. Do this a few times, opening their arm up. Tuck your toes against the floor so that when you rock your hips back, you're at a more lifted position now. From here, we're going to work the pec minor and pec major. Here is the ball of the shoulder, of the ball and socket joint, and we're going to work this line. So my hand is in line with his face, and my forearm, not my elbow, my forearm makes contact just inside the shoulder. I stack my shoulder over my elbow and gently sink in. Remember that the second hand can be used to support the shoulder, the other side of the shoulder. Okay, so one forearm grounds, the second hand supports the back of the shoulder blade. Lock and sink. Lock and sink. Layer by layer. This is a sensitive spot. At least 3 points and then release. So, from a different angle, here we are kneeling behind our partner. Top arm is open into pec stretch. Lean back. Swing the partner's arm next to their side. Keep swinging it forward. Switch hands. Second hand comes down to the floor in front of your partner's chest. Lengthen the arm over their head and step your outer leg, the one that's not right next to your partner, so that the knee is stacked directly under the wrist. Hand supports at the wrist, not the hand. Gently grounds down into your knee. Second hand comes to the upper hip. So not the iliac crest of the pelvis and not the greater trochanter, this bony protrusion of the outer hip bone. Okay, so palm comes to the soft tissue, the outer glute. Both hands press down, fingers point away, and gently lean to stretch. Do this a few times. And then both hands to the forearm, one under the elbow, one under the wrist. Return partner's arm to the floor in front of them. The final technique that we practiced was a prone, a face down shoulder compression sequence. Actually, we started with a compression up and down the back. So let's show that. Kneel, framing your partner's head, and start with the hands at the upper shoulders. So we're pushing forward and down, out to the outer shoulders and back in, and then down the erector spinae down. We're touching a lot of the muscles of the back actually. Once your hands get in between the shoulder blades, then lift the hips so you can sink straight down. Sink straight down. And palm walk down either side of the spine, kneading like a cat, sinking straight down toward the floor. Once you get to the back of the pelvis, lock the hands in place, neutral wrist, make sure your hands aren't winging to either side. You can either stay here pushing forward or tuck the toes, lift the hips, find downward dog, sinking forward and down toward the floor. You can stay here for a little while or as long as you can, at least 3 breaths. Then lower knees down to the floor, framing your partner's head. Unlock from that forward downward movement. And then palm walk back up the back. Sink the hips back down toward the heels so you can get to the tops of the shoulders. And now let's bring foot to shoulder. Switch to a seated position, so that you can bring foot to the top of your partner's shoulder. Remember to start with the foot where the arch of the foot matches up with the neck. Hands post up behind you for counter pressure, or you can lean against a wall. Lock and sink. Out toward the outer edge of the shoulder where it's more of a stretch, and then back in toward the neck where there's a lot of layers of different muscles. Never straighten the leg all the way because then you lose any potential power. Always keep a slight bend. And if you want a deeper pressure, you can just use a sharper pressure by switching the legs and using the knife edge of the other foot to lock and sink, especially close to the neck. You can stay here for 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 90 seconds. Partner who's receiving, imagine the muscles are melting and allowing the pressure to sink in as your muscle tissue shifts to the side. And that's all we did at the September 22nd workshop at the Body Electric Yoga Company. I hope you liked the recap video. I hope you can practice this with your partner and alleviate some muscle tension in the body. Thanks for coming.